of the biting. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. Something, something, something with his terrible swift sword, but his soul goes marching on. Hello, Hope. It's been a while. What's up, Glitch Dash? Always happy to see you guys. Ooh, it's a star-studded chat tonight. We got Otello, we got Hope, we got Glitch. Thank you for the compliment last night, by the way, Glitch. I saw that, or this morning. I really don't remember because I'm not useful for much between the hours of 4 a.m. and 10 a.m. roughly. So I don't exactly know if it was this morning or last night, but I saw you left a nice comment on one of the streams, and I wanted to thank you for that. That was kind of you. Made my day. Made my morning. I do think I'll be able to get to Kentucky, though. I don't see why I wouldn't be able to. If nothing else, I'm going to look up how expensive an Uber would be. But honestly, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get somebody in my household to drive me up there, you know? I don't have a car of my own at this point, but it's very, very conceivable that I could pay somebody in my household to take me up there and back. Take me up there and then bring me back, you know? What's up, Jade? What's up, everybody? I don't have any weed today. All I've got is a little THCA pen. So if you want to help me get some, anybody out there listening, hit up my Cash App, please. Otherwise, what's up, everybody? I'm going on vacation tomorrow and the flight's at 4 a.m. For $0, would you stream? What do you mean for $0 would I stream? Oh, I mean, I usually stream for $0 effectively. Super chat earnings in here are not always super high, you know? But, hi! Who's this guy? Well, number one, I'm not a guy. But now that we've gotten past that, the name's Phoebe. I like to sit around and talk shit, you know, on the internet, have conversations, or at least try to. Kind of a far leftist, kind of anarchist kind of gal, you know? You know, I don't drink fizzy sodas much anymore, so anytime I do, the feeling is a little strange now. Is coughing that hard painful? It can be. If I've got a headache, coughing of any kind is really painful. Otherwise, like, really hard coughs are painful, but something like that, it was annoying. And sometimes it can even be a little worrying because you'll, like, get short of breath and you'll go through times where your throat is so scratchy that you feel like you need to cough, but you're in the middle of a breath from the last cough. That can be scary, you know, because for a moment there, it feels like you're getting the wind knocked out of you. You're just like, you know, but Normally, no. Normally, coughing is a pretty alright experience. By the way, make sure you guys hit that like button. It really does help. Every single time you hit that like button is another chance to send the stream out to even more people, which is the best way to make sure that the stream remains as interesting as it can possibly be. Are you on disability payments? Hell no. Hell no. Every bit of income I personally make comes from the support of my community through this channel, and a little bit of ad revenue from streams that people rewatch. But honestly, my ad revenue and YouTube premium share, that's very fucking little compared to the super chat revenue that I make in my memberships. Those are the people that keep my, dumb faggot ass floating. I mean, I live in a household where we're all sharing the burden of keeping up our standard of living, so that cheapens it for all of us. Some of us have more bills than others. I'm one of the people in my household that doesn't have very many bills, so I don't have a lot coming out of my income, so I don't need a lot in terms of income. So I, like in July, I did all right, and hoping to do all right in August. And if things continue, it'll be basically like I have a part-time job, My main job is staying around here at the house, taking care of the kid, taking care of the house, taking care of the farm. And, when I get time, usually at night, but sometimes in the afternoon, I come out here and do these. And we have a conversation, or at least we try to. Yeah, I'm gonna have to turn on idiot mode, alright? I really hate to get to this point, right? I wish we could all just sit around and have a conversation, but people on the internet are morons, dude. People on the internet are just abject morons. So we're gonna have to do it to them. We're gonna have to turn on idiot mode. There we go. Trump copes with bad job numbers. Yeah, so the Bureau of Labor Statistics came out with a jobs report that revealed that not only was jobs growth way less in, I think, May and June than it was previously thought, but they were way down in July. And Trump is basically not happy with that. Trump doesn't like it. An objective agency has revealed that his promises of increasing the American job market have not come to pass, that Trump has not done a good job with bringing manufacturing back to America. Hint, hint, you can't bring manufacturing back to America, not under one presidential term. But he hasn't done a very good job of that, but he wants MAGA people and independents and even right-leaning Democrats. He wants everybody that might possibly be swooned into agreeing with him to think that he's been great on job numbers. So he is pissed off that an objective government agency has come out with a report that is not so fucking... Oh boy, it's not so kind to his narrative about jobs. He wants everybody to believe that job growth has been amazing. The truth of it is that it's been pretty fucking piss poor. That any given period of time under the Biden administration showed better numbers, and he doesn't like that fact. So he fired the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics and is now looking for some kind of Trump appointee to put in that place. So yes, he's coping hardcore about job numbers. He doesn't like the fact that now people, like the American people, just have one more data set to look at to say Trump is a shitty politician. Trump is not a good president. No matter what you think about his social positions or whatever, leaving that aside, he should be at least a good person for average working class people, and he's not, clearly. America's a capitalist country. People have to have jobs in order to live in this country, and jobs not being made available or people not being hired, that's a bad sign for a capitalist economy. Now, I personally look at things like this as an opportunity for our country to learn how to be a little less capitalistic, but we never do that, so we have to operate within the framework that we actually live within. UFC's on tonight. There's something strange because GPS is a regular here, I'm pretty sure. Why are there so many people? Is it just because I appeal to people all over the political aisle, right? Is it because I appeal from people of all sides of politics on some level that I have like some UFC fans in here? Because it's like Tyson, GPS, and a few other people in here, like Riley. I'm pretty sure I'll hear in here sometimes talking about UFC. Like, what is it? Like I'm not athletic at all. Obviously, you can look at me and tell. Um, I like I'm not a badass, at all. I don't know. It's just interesting to me, the demographic trends. Maybe it's just a really popular thing, and there's just a wide cross section of people that like combat sports and like watching the people jabber online. I saw something the other day about tell me how I make 3 times the minimum wage and I can't afford to leave, and don't tell me to work more. That's not the goal. Yeah, I know. Literally. People are 100% right to be complaining the way they are, and I hate that so many people are willing to dismiss people's complaints merely because they are in a better economic position. People that are in a way better economic position or feel that they have some kind of narrative reason to support America against all fucking contrary evidence will constantly make people feel ashamed for pointing out their lack of mobility in the modern economy. Make people feel ashamed for admitting their inability to cope with the economy being as massively overexploitative as it is. And people hate to be reminded of that kind of thing. So the numbers of jobs being lost under Trump fucking makes it look bad. Yeah, it does, because if the fucking cards were reversed and you guys were in the loser position, you guys would be talking all kinds of shit about how Biden or Kamala, I guess it would have been. If the same thing had happened if Kamala was president right now and the same thing had happened under her administration, you guys would be making the exact same point. Now, I'm not a Kamala simp, so I've got nothing to defend there, but I just think it's interesting that people that are hardcore on this electoral shit can just say, yeah, Trump's job numbers are bad, and that's shitty and dumb because Trump said he was going to prevent a whole bunch of jobs from being just taken by AI and no relief provided. Trump said he would have job growth. Job growth versus job loss, like that sort of thing, like these numbers are cumulative numbers. So if a bunch of jobs are being lost from AI, job growth, like if you have good enough job growth, it should offset that. And that was what Trump was promising. Trump was promising on the campaign trail, among other things, a reversal to the constant loss of jobs here in America from things like AI. And that hasn't happened. Trump promised to bring manufacturing back to America, or to do everything in his power, or whatever, to bring manufacturing back to America. What's happened on that front? Not a single bit of movement has even been made on the topic. There's not a single factory being built right now that wasn't already being built or in the planning stages during the Biden administration. There's no new manufacturing plan for America because America is no longer a fucking manufacturing country. We are a service economy. My God, you're so pretty. Thank you. I don't really think I'm that pretty, but I appreciate it. I'm Republican leaning, but I don't care for Trump much. But you seem like a smart, logical person, and most of the people in your comments are a vibe. Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, there's some people that are definitely kind of crazy and fucked up in my chat too. But, that's one of the beautiful things about this community, right? Is that good, bad, wrong, everybody's welcome here. As long as you can be readable, original, and interesting, everybody's welcome here. Although I am going to make fun of you super hardcore if you bring up any JQ shit. I'm sorry. I make fun of Nazis. I don't punch Nazis, but I do make fun of them hard fucking core. I do make fun of Jewish question bitches hardcore. So if you're a Jewish question bitch, you might as well. You can hang out here, but you have to accept the fact that I'm going to rag on your ass constantly. That you're going to be the butt of every, That instead of Hitler, whenever you're around, I'm going to use you as the example for evil, We don't produce enough raw materials to offset production in the USA. Yeah, no, I agree. It's sad how rare your awareness intelligence can be on platforms like this one. I really don't think it's that. I mean, yeah, I think maybe it's rare on these platforms because these platforms don't necessarily incentivize like deep, intelligent introspection, like of the topics at hand or whatever, right? Like you're not encouraged to explore the deeper meaning behind these things or whatever, and that sort of thing encourages people that aren't really interested in doing that. I mean, it's a very logical thing, right? You have a platform that rewards people doing dumb shit and IRL streaming and things like that. Um, I mean, I guess some of the big political shows and everything are doing a more structured format, but even them, a lot of them make their bread and butter on being little debate bro bitches that are just like incapable of addressing the actual arguments. Like, yeah, I'll make an insult and ad hom every now and again, but you can bet your sweet ass I'm going to respond to the fucking arguments that are made too, you know? And that's something that's critically missing from a lot of philosophical and political content creators that choose to argue with their audience or choose to argue with other creators. Um, and it's bullshitty. It's bullshitty. It's a way of avoiding the topic. It's a way of seeming like you're advancing the conversation while really just spinning your wheels in the mud. Thank you, Kimmy. Although I will say, when I first read that, my thought was like, when I greet somebody's dog, you know, like when somebody's like, "This is my dog, Ashley," I'm like, "Hi, pretty girl," you know. I don't wanna be your fucking dog that you drag around on a leash all day. Let me see here. Oh boy. With all due respect, shouldn't you show respect to all people regardless? The time somebody doesn't deserve respect is when you're infringe on the rights of others, Nazi, Jew, or communist or capitalist. I mean, isn't that pretty much what I said I did? I mean, like, here's the thing. I don't think you should show respect to all people regardless, like, necessarily all the time. I think that in general, yeah, it's probably good to engage with somebody with respect from the start. But I think if somebody's disrespectful to you, I think you are perfectly entitled to be disrespectful back to them. There are some people who are empathetic enough to be killed with kindness, as they say. There's some people for whom that works. You really can just be nice to them, and over a long enough period of time, they'll understand they need to stop being a dickhead, you know? But that takes a long time sometimes. It takes a long time to instill that in somebody, and it's not always effective. And so I support people using alternative means to make people understand why they're being pieces of shit. People get back what they give and have the data. Yeah, exactly. I love the believer, hate the belief. Glitch Dash, I'm really glad you reminded me of that little turn of phrase. It's something, I mean, Christians will say all the time, hate the sinner, or love the sinner, hate the sin. There we go. Baby lungs? No. I just hit it too hard, number one. And number two, it's almost dead. And number three, it's kind of a cheap disposable, so it's getting gummed up more than it should, which creates its own host of problems. But if it was like regular flour or anything, I probably wouldn't be coughing at all. Just the, you know, Them's the risk of the game, I guess. What are your thoughts on Jews, Christians, Muslims, communists, I mean, that's a whole, like, what are your Jews? What are your Jews? What are your thoughts on the entire, like, spectrum of political, philosophical, and religious belief? I don't know, man. Bunch of crazy monkeys. Bunch of crazy monkeys. Just like me. Bunch of crazy monkeys. Like I said, I don't particularly like Nazis. I think they're a pretty awful set of people. I think their beliefs are pretty demonstrably harmful, but I'll talk to one on here. Maybe talking to my crazy leftist ass over a long enough time period, being made fun of ever so often, will eventually show them that leftists are not the crazy kid diddling demons that they've been led to believe, and that we are in fact normal people with normal lives and normal interests. Thoughts on Israel-Palestine? I think that we need a one-state solution that combines these two powers, that combines these two peoples, that enforces peacefulness between them, that completely disarms. I don't think Israel should be allowed to maintain a standing army. I don't think Palestine should be allowed to maintain a standing army for at least the next 50 years. And I think within that 50 years, there should be a project administered by the world's United Nations, and it should see to it that these people learn how to cooperate. It should see to it that these people learn how to share precious religious sites. It should see to it that these people learn how to live side by side peacefully, without murder, without hate, without genocide, because what's going on in Palestine is inexcusable. I make no excuses for Hamas. I do think that there are reaction to Israeli aggression in the area, but I don't make any excuses for Hamas. I know what fundamentalist Islam is. I know how dangerous it is. But we're never going to escape the problem by allowing the problem to just go on unabated and really doing nothing about it, other than allowing Israel to continuously invade more of these people's land and push them into smaller and smaller places. That's just a humanitarian disaster. It's a humanitarian disaster, and I think it gives unnecessary ammunition to fundamentalist Muslims in countries around the Middle East. So I think that it's time for these countries to be combined. I don't know what the best name for it would be, but I think some kind of combination of these lands, and whatever country that comes to be, it would still be the Jewish homeland. The Jewish homeland is going to be in the land we currently call Israel, no matter what that called. Whether it's called the Combined Mandate for Israel and Palestine, whether it's called Palestine, whether it's called Israelistine, it doesn't fucking matter what you call it. It's always going to be the Jewish homeland. They can always I'm perfectly down for whatever country continues to be there. I'm perfectly fine with them having a Jewish right of return, as long as there's also a Palestinian right of return. That is my solution for Israel-Palestine. That is what I believe. That is what needs to happen in that region. Fuck the genocide. Fuck the insane fucking imperialism that comes off of the Israeli state. Fuck it all. Let's be done with it. Are you Canadian? No. No. You guys don't have fat people up there, do you? I didn't think Canada had that many fat people. I thought it was pretty much like obvious if you heard somebody with this accent and they were fat, it's like, oh, that's an American. I thought that was just like a given. Yeah, we do lots, so. Well, I've never been to Canada, so what would I know? Like I said, stupid fat American, Ignore the Yugoslavian example of your idea not working in reality. I'll be honest with you, completely abridged of all European history. So if you have an example of one of my ideas not working, then please inform me about it. Don't just try to own me. Let's have a conversation. Explain to me why I'm wrong. I'm not familiar with the history of Yugoslavia. I know that it's got something to do with combining two distinct peoples, but I don't know the history of it. I don't know how well it would compare. Not missing much, just crazy leftist policy running our country into the ground. Well, I thought Trump was back in office. Trump is back in office, so all the crazy leftist policy is all good now, right? Everything's all perfect, right? America's good now, right? Or are you saying Trump is ineffectual and unable to affect the amount of change he needs to affect? See, you've painted yourself into an ideological corner, my friend. What species are you? Homo supremus. By the way, make sure you guys hit that like button. Every single time you hit that like button is another chance to send this out to even more people, which increases the chance of the stream becoming even more interesting by virtue of increasing the amount of people engaging in the chat. Man, what happened to the Bible thumpers hitting the pavement and going door to door? Now they're just sad on YouTube chat. Yeah, dude. Well, it's because they all got fat and fucking lazy. Now the only people out there actually spreading the word of God the way the Bible tells you to are fucking Mormons, if you can believe it or not. I've talked to way more Mormon missionaries than I've talked to any other denomination of Christians since getting out of the church. Literally. Literally, I'm not even kidding. And I've been helped by Mormon missionaries. Like, they're good people. Like, instead of just proselytizing, Mormons will see you with a problem and they'll be like, here, let us take over. As long as you don't mind us talking about the Bible with you while you stand over and, if you want to drink a beer or something, that's fine. But we're going to, it's like, oh, shit, all right, yeah, there, buckets right there, have at it. Sit there, listen to an hour-long sermon while they scrub your car down and leave it looking better than ever it has. You're like, fuck, let's have more Mormons. No wonder their religion is spreading. It's actually fucking appealing. No wonder their religion is fucking spreading. They have 1 million kids each. They have giant broods, and they're kind people. If only the rest of the Christian church could adopt their doctrine. Imagine how greasy my skin is. Actually not greasy at all. I don't know if you can tell. But the fact that it doesn't have like a bright sheen should tell you more than anything. Ooh, but I am starting to get red up here again. I like that. That's nice. The Balkan States fell apart because they were centralized under the Austrian-Hungarian Empire and led to a bloody civil war. Forcing one state will likely play out similar. But why, though? Like, in what way were they integrated? And how long ago was this, right? Because things change over time. Just because the strategy worked when it was tried 500 years ago doesn't mean it won't work now, necessarily. There could be elements of their methodology that was wrong. There could be elements of the strategy that just didn't go the right way. There could be technological differences or technological abilities we have now that could enable us to bridge some gaps in a way we couldn't have before. This was the 90s. Okay, so it was the 90s. Like I said, I'm not that familiar with fucking European history, so I have to ask, like, clarifications. And I'm especially unfamiliar with Eastern European history, so. But, okay, so the 90s. Yeah, I wouldn't say technology has changed so much that there's a different situation now that way, but I would say that depending on the methods that were used, the strategies that were used, I could have criticisms of those. I would just have to read up more on the issue to know whether that's a valid comparison or not. I'll say this much. You may have a point. I just don't know enough about the issue to know for sure when it comes to the falling apart of Yugoslavia and whether or not that could have been prevented some way, whether or not the integration could have gone better. I just don't know. I think the integration between Palestine and Israel could go without a hitch. I really do. I think that if the UN came in and disarmed, it's the biggest thing. Disarm and repair. Disarm and repair. Disarm and repair. That needs to be the constant drumbeat of the UN's presence in this region. Disarm and repair. Make these fucking countries whole again. Unite their people. Invite them to spend time with each other. Invite them to eat at each other's restaurants. Build massive public transit all over Palestine and all over Israel that invites these disparate people to go and visit their neighbors' lands. They would do it. They would do it. Maybe it'd be slow at first, but a few of them would do it. And a few of them would come back and be like, oh my God, I just got to see the inside of Tel Aviv for the first time ever. Holy shit, it's beautiful, Or, Like, I just got to see Jerusalem for the first time in my life, and oh my God, it's so beautiful. You wouldn't believe how many holy sites are up there, just all concentrated in one place, you know? Andy, I had a Jewish friend for a very long time. My Jewish friend was anti-fucking Israel. My Jewish friend was an anti-Zionist. Not just not a Zionist, they were anti-Zionist. I used to joke with, they were one of the first people that I ever joked around with about relocating all the Jewish people of Israel to Wyoming. And we used to joke about it all the time. So no, having a Jewish friend is not going to change my perspective on this. Jews are not a monolith. Not every Jewish person on the planet is Zionism. Zionism does not equal Judaism. Judaism does not automatically indicate Zionism. These are these are not mutually exclusive beliefs, but they're not, you know, one does not indicate the other. By the way, how are we sitting at 0 super chats? If you guys want to make sure your question gets read, consider sending a super chat because I read every single one, as long as it doesn't violate TOS. The UN power relies on U.S. force projection and the peaceful state of the world that Pax Americana, keeping the world safe. Well, Kyle Miracle, that's kind of what I've talked about, right? I'm kind of a globalist, and I'm not invading places, right, in a show of power and force, right? But what I am for is the limited application of the United States military power in places where our, like, fucking, I hesitate to say meddling because it's such a loaded word, but, you know, it kind of does describe the situation, right? I believe in the limited application of U.S. military power in places where we have meddled or where our allies have created an unstable situation from a standpoint of peacekeeping, you know? So the idea being that, yeah, if somebody decides to if somebody decides to fuck with our peacekeeping efforts there, we've got the biggest military on the planet. We will deal with that threat, and the people that we're guarding and peacekeeping for are not going to be harmed, right? And that's one of the things that aforementioned Pax Americana that you mentioned, that's one of the things that it allows for, right? But it's not complete. The Pax Americana is weakest in the Middle East, even though we've got Israel there. It's the only country we've got there. It's the only country that answers directly to us in the Middle East. And that, you know, provides like a little bit of a power problem over there. One that I think that we have a better advantage of, or I'm sorry, a better advantage over than other countries do, because while we don't, you know, have perfect control over that region, no other country's got anything close to fucking total control over it. So we're still in a good position to deal with these problems. I think that there's a real opportunity to make this happen and to be protected while we do it, and to keep things genuinely peaceful in that region, to defend the region from outside harm until they're allowed to have a military again. I think it is altogether possible. And I think it would be a pretty noble application of U.S. military power. Trump haters always look like this? We're always hot? I didn't know Trump haters were always hot. I mean, I've seen some ugly Trump haters. I've seen some really beautiful Trump haters. Frankly, I've seen some pretty Trump supporters. Fewer, but some. Blessed Dad, is the blessing like a room temperature IQ? Is that the blessing? Oh boy. Imagine making yourself subscribe just to send hateful comments in lieu of real arguments. Yeah, dude, I know. It's fucking total waste of time, total waste of effort, total waste of energy. But people will do that, dude. Boredom. Boredom is the fucking word of the day. Boredom, because it has destroyed American society. It's one of many things that's destroying American society, but one thing is missing from 2025 that was there in 1995, and that's the existence of a third place. It's the existence of places you could go that weren't just your workplace or your home, places where you could go hang out, meet other people, interact socially, and be in an environment that encourages proper human socialization. We don't have that anymore. At least we have way, 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 way less of it. And so a lot of people are just living their whole lives online. Trump supporters are way more attractive by far. If you say so. I personally don't agree, but the Canadian 279 G. By the way, Canadian dollars. What do you care about Trump, bro? What? You're Canadian. Don't you have your own politics to worry about? Social media removes empathy. That's why there's so many hateful keyboard warriors. Yeah. I mean, social media is what allows people to, and that's why I said that it's that boredom, right? Part of that rant is it implies something else too, if you really think about it. It's not just boredom, right? So the boredom is caused the lack of empathy by increasing the amount of people engaging in social media, not really having meaningful relationships or friendships, just doing everything they do in their life is on social media. Everything they listen to is some clip from a social media thing. Everything they, like every person they text, every person they have calls with, it's all social media shit, right? And there's a few situations, I guess, in which you really can't help that, but I think that over-reliance on it as a society has created a lot of fucking people who are just completely lacking in empathy, completely lacking in the ability to actually just talk to someone on their level and to approach the to approach the interaction with, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess truthfulness is a way to put it, but that's not really the word I'm looking for. But it encourages people to be fake about themselves. It encourages people to lash out in ways they wouldn't if they were standing right next to you. It encourages a lot of antisocial behavior that I think just plain old socializing doesn't really allow you to be incorporated into. What's up, Riley? And yes, we've got a day stream. A boy pretending to be a girl? I'm not a boy pretending to be a girl. I literally am a girl that happened to have been like lying about herself, calling herself a boy for a long time because she happened to be born with a dick. I know that's like a really complicated and like irreligious thought to your mind, but to the rest of us normal folk, that's just like, oh, so you're a trans woman. Gotcha. Cool. Much easier to be brave and ballsy from behind a screen and judgmental. Yeah, exactly. Way, way, way easier. Way easier to be that way if you're just like an anonymous person online. You don't even have your face as your profile picture. You can talk infinite amounts of shit. What's ever going to happen to you? I mean, somebody's going to have to really actively choose to fuck with you for something to happen. He's the type of people mad that they can't use the women's room. Oh, am I now? The truth of it is, I usually just try to avoid public restrooms in general. They're pretty nasty. I'm weighing in my head whether Peter Griffin with boobies with a lot of spammed hearts is a compliment or not. I mean, it's got to be. The hearts make it a compliment, right? Hi, Lois. Why do women have boobs? I'll debate you on live, no problem. I really do need to get that call-in show set up. I need to do that, dude, because it would be fun to do one of these for like an hour before I start it up, and then go inside, do it, and be like, all right, if you've had fun arguing with me for the last hour, then come find me on my desktop stream here in a minute, where I'm going to be taking call-ins. That would be the ideal way to do it, actually. Hell yeah, Glitch Dash, thank you. I appreciate it. Fuck yeah, fuck yeah. Ooh, look at that. Look at all the beautiful people receiving gifted memberships from Glitch Dash. This is how we Glitch Dash. This is how we Glitch Dash. Do Quagmire impression? I can't. If I can't do a good impression, I don't even want to try because it'll just sound hackneyed. I haven't listened to enough Quagmire quotes to do that one. God damn, man. That's one thing about living in the South is that, like, sometimes you'll just be feeling itchy just from sitting outside in and of itself. Because, like, there's little chiggers and there's fucking little mosquitoes. And, you know, like, usually there's not actually one on you, but you'll feel like there is one because there's so many around or something. Like, you're just expecting it. And honestly, today's not been a bad day for mosquitoes, but I'm still itchy because I'm just like, fuck, they're probably all over me. At least that's what it feels like the influence comes from, you know? Why do this to whose creation? Who are you talking to, Blessed? Who are you talking to? It's like a hot wet blanket every time you go outside in the South and Midwest. Yeah. Some places in the Midwest aren't as bad about it though, I'll tell you. Like, the farther north and west you go in the Midwest, the less likely you are to experience that on any given day, but it's still a problem up there, you know? You pretty much have to get to the Rockies and west of that before that sort of climate goes away. I guess there's probably parts of West Texas that are that way too, but yeah, pretty much like most of America's like southeast and the deep south and the like upper south and like lower Midwest, all of it just muggy, warm, hot, miserable most of the time between like, I would say like between mid-April and end of September to the middle of October. Just depends on how long the summer stays and demands its attention. Somewhere around there is when you start to get the end of the horrible swampy weather. But it's like the humidity never really goes away. It reduces in the winter, but it just ends up making things feel colder, and it ends up making like a whole bunch of ice problems. Even though you wouldn't think there would be a lot of ice problems, you have to worry about like if it's really fucking cold down here, if it's below freezing, you have to worry about ice on the roads, even if it didn't rain, even if it doesn't look like it rained, even if anything like that's just because it was wet enough the day before or humid enough the day before. There could have been ice that formed on the road that's like just an invisible little sheen. I don't know if I'm a loser for watching the stream or the guy who moderates this. I mean, I'd say you're a loser for being a dickhead that is like trying to impugn my mod's character, but you know, I guess it's up to you ultimately to make the determinations about your personality that you have to make. Personally, I think you'd have a lot more fun just engaging with the stream in like a genuine and honest way. Be true to yourself, be true to us, be like a kind and productive person in here, and we'll get along fine. No. No, Simon said something about. No, you're Simon. Never mind. No, you are not all losers. I didn't say that. I called one specific dude a loser because he was calling me a loser. Or no, one of my mods. I don't fucking know. But no, I was not calling the whole chat losers. I mean, you may well be, but that's not my judgment. You may well be, but that's not the judgment that I have placed upon you, okay? Man, there's two people in here just having like a totally fucking pretend bullshit conversation about their crazy fucking Jesus myth. Evil is won! Satan has taken over our society! Jesus, you people are fucking indoctrinated. Man, get outside, bro. With the Bible, leave it at home, man. Go find a hippie and walk through the woods with them. Eat the mushrooms when they hand them to you, okay? Walk through the woods with a hippie and get back to me. I guarantee you'll be 100 times less annoying. You get your meetup ticks yet? Riley, I have not. I am hoping that I can get them with the paycheck I'll get in this month. So the 21st, I should get paid. And yeah, that's not too far away. And I'm checking like every day to make sure they're not sold out yet or getting close to it. I know that the closer we get, the more likely they are to be sold out, but I'm hoping that they're not sold out until like later on in the year, you know? I hope that I get my ticket and then find out that they have out until like September or something like that. But fingers crossed, I should be getting it then. I'm gonna smoke you out when you get here. Yeah, I'll hold you to that. I'll hold you to that. I can roll us some mean blunts if you just come with the flower, Riley. I can roll us some mean blunts. I don't know if you saw that stream where I taught Paul how to roll. I consider that a huge honor, by the way, because I'm a real young stoner compared to Paul, but I was able to teach an old head something. That's dope. People towards God because people who say they follow him show condemnation. I want you to know the joy that, hey, like, listen, you are the type of Christian that I'm completely approved of, like that I'm cool with. I think you guys are chill. I wish that there were more like you. And while I don't personally agree in, we might not agree on religion. I'm not a Christian, probably never will be. I grew up in the church, and I have philosophical and religious reasons why I don't agree with it, I guess. Well, maybe not religious reasons, but philosophical reasons, certainly. I've got philosophical reasons why I'm not a Christian, but I'm certainly more... I'm certainly very happy with Christians who recognize that there is no charge in the Bible to be hateful. There's no charge in the Bible to condemn people or judge them. That in fact they are called by the Bible to do the opposite. God's word informs them to be kind and considerate and to give grace as Jesus would. Whatever. If Nigden wants to just fucking... If Nigden just wants to fucking, like, shit on my weight or whatever, they can do, like... Let them feel really fucking irrelevant by never having a message read. Eventually they'll get sick of it and start engaging in an actual way. I want to engage in a social experiment here. I want to see anybody that can think of nothing more interesting to talk about than my weight. I want to see if we can convince them to start engaging like a human being. Excuse me. Right, the people who show condemnation don't know God's love. I had a traumatic childhood. I'm not here to condemn you. I just want you to know that I love you. Well, thank you. Hey, I appreciate that. Excuse me. But yeah, no, I had a pretty traumatic childhood too. Well, maybe not a traumatic childhood necessarily, but like, I think, well, to some degree, I think everybody kind of has a traumatic childhood. I think childhood is just like a time of like you're more delicate and things hit you harder. And so I think to some degree, maybe everyone has kind of a traumatic childhood. There were certainly elements to it that were traumatic, but I've had a pretty like, trauma-laden life in general. And it's fucked, but you learn. You live and you learn. Some of us live and learn through God. Others of us live and learn through the like introspection of our own personal philosophy and the way we go about the world. Like some of us like go inward. Some of us find something out here to focus on. But really the only people who aren't dealing with correctly are the people who let it just dominate everything that they do and everything that they are and everything that they think about and like everything about like the issues they care about. There was one time I had a racist doctor and he didn't even look at my medical history and assumed I was just eating a lot, which was obviously wrong because I don't even eat a lot. That sucks. That sucks. It doesn't surprise me though, because like doctors are human beings, and like they're not immune to, like you would think they would be, right? I thought for a long time when I was a kid, especially like even up into my like early 20s, I used to think, well, doctors are pretty much immune from being idiots, like how wrong I was. But that was my fucking line of thinking, was like, well, I mean, they're doctors, so how dumb can they be? I mean, you can't have a racist doctor. It's fucking. But now I know, yes, you very much can. You can totally have a racist doctor. Why couldn't you? May I ask your advice because you seem like someone who can help me? It's okay if not, I understand. Yeah, go ahead. I don't guarantee my advice will be any good, but yeah, go ahead. By the way, if anybody wants to make sure that their question gets read, consider sending a super chat. It's also just a great way to financially support the channel. This is my main form of income as a like a stay-at-home parent, as my main primary duty in life. And if you like to support the mission over here to have difficult conversations with people that disagree with us, consider helping out with a super chat, a gift membership, a personal join up of the membership, or one of those weird little gift thingies. I don't really understand those, honestly, but whatever. They work too. You do surgery on yourself? Even doctors won't do surgery on themselves most of the time. I guess some of them have in the past, but pretty rare occurrence. There's a reason for it. Oh, okay. Well, I'm autistic, so I fucking miss shit like that all the time, honestly. Unlike a lot of autistic people, I'm able to, and I don't think this makes me any better than them, by the way, before anyone makes that judgment or whatever, but like a lot of autistic people have a really hard time with like socializing and modulating their speech to sound like charismatic or whatever. I don't have that problem, but I do have the problem of like completely missing jokes and sarcasm sometimes, like not really giving a whole lot of fucks about like social cues and things like that. Now that I like, even that, right? Like people used to call it high functioning autism. Now I've heard that that's like a deprecated term. Either way, I've been able to cope with a lot of the aspects of my diagnosis that would make it hard for somebody to, like somebody with like a more severe form, right, to like live in a normal everyday environment, but, you know. What were we talking about? My stepson is trans, born female, but identifies as male, but he is still very feminine in hobbies and things like that. I believe he's a tomboy, but I won't tell him. My fear is, and where I need advice. Okay, so I see what you're going through. So you have an assigned female at birth child. We'll call that AFAB from here on in this conversation. You have an AFAB child who is pretty convinced that they are trans and like that they're a trans boy, and you fear that they're probably just a tomboy, not fully trans in the sense that they actually would want to go through with everything. But I'm guessing you fear that they will choose to go through with some kind of medical intervention despite the fact that they're not actually trans, right? Is that the fear? Is the fear that they will go through with something that they will later regret in life? Is that the idea? Just so I understand more. How can be supportive while protecting him so he doesn't make a choice he regrets later in life? Okay, so I was 100% right. In the current political climate, you would be really hard-pressed to, unless you're not in America. If you're in the Netherlands or something like that, then obviously this doesn't apply. But if you're here in America, it would be pretty hard for you to get them any kind of puberty blockers or anything like that anyway, in this current political climate. So if they bring that kind of thing up, you've got that you can, like, fall back on. And by the way, I'm not glad that it's that way, but in your particular case, and I think it may come to benefit you and your kid, right? Like, I think, and the Dutch approach agrees with this, right? The idea of giving people, or that giving young trans people puberty blockers until they're ready to go through with their full puberty. I think that it does have good outcomes. I think it's an approach we should seek more often. But in a case where you've got, I forget how old you said they were. Let me say, how old are they? Well, if he does feel he needs medical intervention, how can I detour that? He's 17. Okay, well, here's the thing. Ultimately, it's not really your decision to make, right? I mean, even if you are able to detour it for now, you're not going to be able to detour it forever, and eventually they're going to move away, and the decisions that they make at that point will be only influenced by your decision making insofar as that it will have influenced the way that they make decisions, right? But you're not going to be involved intimately in the decisions of their everyday life pretty soon. So, with that in mind, I mean, they're getting to the age where if they want to start HRT, they're probably going to want to start it here pretty soon. So I would just say that in order for you to feel better about the situation, you should talk to them about it, genuinely. You should, and a lot of people, I think, feel like talking to their trans kids about why they're trans and the feeling of being trans, what it means to them, etc. I feel like they feel weird about that, like they're invading their kid's space or something like that. But I gotta tell you, man, it felt great when my mom finally became more chill with me being, and she was always supportive, but at first she was like very kind of like standoffish about the idea of me being trans. Like she didn't want to offend me or something. But eventually, she got drunk one night and she started asking me a litany of questions about it. And we had a gay old time laughing and joking about it and me explaining things. It was wonderful. And I think that would probably be the most useful thing you could do, is honestly just have an honest conversation with them where you ask, like, how long have you felt this way? Do you feel any sort of like pressure to do your more feminine hobbies, or do you think that that's just an aspect of your of the masculinity that you feel that doesn't take a lot of precedence? Like, ask them questions that really make them, right? Not only are you getting more information, but you're making them really consider their answers to these questions that might help illustrate something. If they're not actually trans, they might realize, like, okay, maybe I'm just a tomboy. Maybe I'm just like a kind of gender rejecting cis girl, but maybe they really will give you like really good answers to all these questions, and then you'll understand why they've still got some feminine hobbies even though they have a masculine name now, and maybe even they've cut their hair shorter. I don't know, I don't know what they look like or how they're presenting or anything like that, but it's a good way to like bridge that gap. It might be that they're still presenting that way and having those kinds of hobbies and things like that because of a supposed need to present that way. Like they might feel like you guys, like your parent, like their parents, you guys or whatever, they might feel like they don't have the right kind of support structure to be who they want to be and do what they really want to do. So I think it would really just be useful to talk to them about it and make it plain that you're not judging them, make it plain that you're not condemning their choice to be out as trans, that you're literally just trying to seek more information about it because, you're their kid, or because they're your kid, and you want to get to know them, everything about them, because like their personality develops as a result of your raising. It's like one of the beautiful things about being a parent is getting to bug your kid about stupid things about their own personality, That's literally, just say that. Just be like, nope, you can't get out of this because I'm a parent. It's my divine right to bug you with stupid questions, okay? Today it's about you being trans. Tomorrow it'll be about fixing the computer. And you're going to answer them both. Come on, kid. That's what I would do. I want to take Ozempic, but my stupid racist doctor won't give me any. Honestly, Clayton, if you're in a situation like that, I would try and find a different doctor. You might not be able to if you're in a rural area, sadly, but if you can, just try and find somebody else, honestly, in a completely different practice, too. Don't even look for the same practice. Just go find somebody else, because honestly, like, if you've got weight problems and you want to try Ozempic, I think you should have the right to try it, I'm not a step parent. I'm just a step parent, but I love him like my own, and I want him to feel safe and comfortable talking to me. He's still very feminine. He reminds me of me when I was a tomboy. Thank you so much. I'm going to try and talk to him and just figure out where he is on his journey. Exactly, the hell girl. That's what I would recommend more than anything, is just figuring exactly where he is on this journey and what his motivations are and how he really feels about himself and all these kinds of things. Like, I'm not saying harangue him for fucking 4 hours about it, but have like a natural conversation with them and ask some questions and figure out, it seems like you're on a good path, and it seems like you've got the right head about all this, which is really what matters more than anything. What matters more than anything is that you're supportive, because honestly, even if they do choose to go through with some hormone replacement therapy, you never know. Like they might, like it's not like it's permanently damaging. I mean, I was on HRT when I first came out as trans for 3 months, got off of it, couldn't afford it anymore. And, I was able to have a kid after that. I was able to, I retained sexual function, if that's something you're worried about them losing, which, some people might think that's weird. I understand, because it's just a human need. You're not looking at it from like a pervy standpoint. It's just like you're like genuinely concerned about their ability to fully participate in a human need. And I get that. Man, that advice segment was like cancer for views. Now that I'm not even talking about it, we've jumped back up to 50 people. Make sure you guys hit that like button if you haven't hit it already. And if you want to make sure that your chat gets read or your question gets read out and answered, please consider sending a super chat. I do read every single one, as long as it doesn't violate TOS. It made me angry with some people because how much religion made me resent God, but God isn't the way people make him to be. All I wanted to feel was love, and religion did not help but feel. Yeah, I, like I said, don't personally align with the Christian faith, but I understand, I think, why people are so adamant about it. I understand why some people look at it as such a good in their life, such a good thing in their life. Even if I'm not personally an adherent, I just don't want him to do anything that will take away from the genuine human experience of existing peacefully. Yeah, exactly. I tell people I'm Catholic within reason. That's funny. I like that. I've heard that before. It's a good way to describe like a moderate Catholic, yeah. Or like a left-leaning Catholic, I guess. Honestly, I tend to like Catholics a fair bit more than I like it. Okay, if you throw me in a room with 5 Christians and 4 of them are Protestant and 1 of them is Catholic, I'm probably going to end up being friends with a Catholic. I don't know why that is. I don't know what it is about Catholics and me that we just get along like peas in a pod, you know? But whatever. You guys are fun. You guys' last pope was a hoot, bro. That dude had a fucking personality. He had a soul, you know, like kind dude. Literally the first pope ever to be visited specifically by trans people and immigrants on his deathbed, like in his funeral, I think, or I can't remember if it was during his funeral or on his deathbed, but like the very last visitation was what the church termed, it was what the church termed his favorite children, which were trans people staying at a convent in Rome and immigrants passing through the EU. And the current pope, they went in the same direction as they went with Pope Francis with the current pope. I can't remember the dude's name off the top of my head, but big fan of his papacy so far. The last pope looked like Jonathan Price. He kind of did, didn't he? Yo, can you do the Peter Griffin laugh, please? No, unfortunately, I can't do that one on command. It's not one of the impressions I've got mastered. Yeah, see, I can't do it. It just sounds like a goat. It's funny you say that, the hell girl. Looked him up. I was thinking, Boston, 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 Boston. Gotta be Boston or New York City. He's got to be from the Diocese of Boston, New York City. One of those two, right? Nope. Dude's from Chicago. Dude's from Chicago. Dude sounds like a Midwesterner. That's like, he was not just the first American Pope, he was the first Midwestern Pope. So the first American Pope is a Midwesterner. Fucking suck on that one, California. Suck on that one, East Coast. Fucking suck it down and slurp it. The first American Pope was a fucking Midwesterner. Boston. Yeah, no, if you would imagine American Pope, you would think Boston or New York City, right? Maybe LA, but you're not thinking fucking Chicago. You're not thinking St. Louis or something like that, you know? That's pretty awesome. I know. I'm really happy about it. I'm really happy about it. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter ultimately. It's just like football level cheering on for some arbitrary thing, but whatever. Whatever makes you happy, man. Will we ever have a Mormon Pope? Almost had a Mormon president. Well, I think we'll have a Mormon president before we have a Mormon Pope, considering Mormons are not Catholics. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I mean, Pope Francis was a Jesuit, but that's like a branch of Catholicism, you know? It's like a specific order within the Catholic Church. I don't know if we'll ever get a Mormon Pope. That would be pretty out of character for the Mormons and for the fucking Catholic Church. But who knows, dude? The Boredas were popes. Why not a Mormon? Una mattina trovamiamo un bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Una mattina something da in vaso il partigiano portami via. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, partigiano portami via. Da 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 da. We are pretty chill, so maybe. Dude, are you a Mormon, hell girl? No, you just said you were a Catholic. Never mind. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Oh, gee, that's beautiful. Thank you. That's so sweet. I'm going to do a busking stream later tonight. I'm going to have to get off here in a minute to charge my phone, but I'm going to do a busking stream here tonight. So if you guys want to come back and watch that, make sure you do, because last night's was successful, and I think I'm going to do another one tonight. It was really fun. Trump 2028. So, are you planning on amending the Constitution before 2028? Because he's kind of like term limited right now. You'd have to amend the Constitution far before the election to get around that. So, what's the plan there? Heck yeah, busking is so fun. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm just gonna be like digitally busking, playing my guitar for you guys, but still. Although, sometimes I wish I lived with closer access to a bigger city that I could go to the downtown area in and busk for or go to some poppin' area in and busk for 2 hours later at night, that would be pretty fun. Who said Trump Sr.? Well, that's actually an interesting reply, Broken Inbox. Most people just say, yeah, we're going to amend the Constitution. But you're actually the first person I've talked to with this position that's looking at it realistically. If you're saying Ivanka Trump 2028 or Trump Jr. 2028 or Eric Trump 2028, then you might have a point. At that point, you might have an argument. If you're arguing that Trump Sr., the dude in office right now, is going to have a third term, I'm going to say no. No. I mean, I think that they could contest the quantity of it a little bit, but I don't think they could get the needed 2/3 majority, so just no. But if you're talking a member of Trump's family, yeah. And that's something that people on my side of politics, especially the people on my side of politics who consider themselves electoralists, like Democrats and people who vote for Democrats, they are not ready for this truth either. They are not ready for this truth. Be prepared to be made fun of as you and people like you begin to tell the American people, the Trump family, the Trump dynasty began with Trump and it's going to continue, People are going to doubt you. People, especially on my side of the aisle, are going to doubt you. But I know the fucking truth. I know that the MAGA movement is not going to fucking die off merely because Trump is term limited out of the fucking presidency. I know better. I know fucking better. Him losing the whole last presidency and a failed insurrection didn't talk them out of him as a candidate. So what the fuck makes somebody think that him merely being term limited would? I know better. I know that MAGA will 100% support Trump in the event of some kind of, support a Trump family member, after the transpiration of his term limiting out of office. Obama 2028? I don't think so. I don't think so. What, Michelle Obama? Michelle Obama 2028? No. I don't think Michelle really wants to be that deeply involved in high-level politics, and I think she's smart to do so. I think she's smart to limit her exposure to that mess. I know people close to Trump Jr., he's running in 2028. I mean, you could totally be talking some crazy bullshit right now. I hope you understand why I can't just say, oh, okay, cool, but right on. If that's true, it wouldn't surprise me. I'll say that much. I can't just automatically believe you, but if true, would not be surprised. I don't know. He's losing a lot of supporters, even some MAGA members. The only dynasty we need is Duck Dynasty. I don't even know if we need that dynasty, Hellgirl, but I get what you're saying. I will say that support for Trump is waning in a way that it hasn't for most of his administration this time, and in a way that it failed to wane for most of his administration last time until 2019, 2020. It wasn't until people had a good long fucking period of Trump before they really started to hate his ass, and it was largely in the wake of his monstrousness towards the Black Lives Matter protests and his mishandling of COVID and his use of it as a political tool, essentially. I think that turned a lot of people on him that before were ambivalent. That's when I became a Trump hater. I mean, from 2016 to 2019, I was Trump ambivalent. 100%, and I'll admit it. from like 2016 to 2019, I was Trump ambivalent. I was like, yeah, I mean, I think he, like, says some pretty gross shit on Twitter, but like, as far as policy, seems like a standard Republican that's not nearly as harsh on gays. So seems like an improvement to me, you know. But he has completely erased that legacy with a like giant, massive ramping up of everything bad about his first term, which, like, I thought he was pretty much just a continuation, if like maybe a little muted, of a lot of George Bush era policies. And now I think he's actually a ratcheting down and a perfection of those policies. I think Trump has become a more dangerous candidate than he ever was in 2016. I think the 2016 to 2020 Trump administration was like a mewling kitten compared to this administration. People are realizing that they aren't safe now that Snap and Meta are... Yeah, no. And you know what? I hate to sound like a Democratic apologist. Democrats don't do anything to secure these programs, but let me just say something. This is fucking endless fucking cycle that, politically uninformed people go through. And it's sad. I'm not condoning it. I'm not glad that it happens this way, but this is the fucking sad truth. This is how it goes every fucking time. So, politically uninformed people get really fucking inspired by a Republican candidacy, and they go, by a Democratic candidate, thinking that they're going to improve their lives or whatever, and then they go to the polls and they vote for that Democratic candidate thinking everything's going to be better, everything, fucking, look at all this shit they're promising. They don't do any of it. The media gets their fucking hackles all up in a fray, and they run over to the Republicans next time they come up on the election ticket. And they're like, oh my God, I'm going to vote for the Republicans. They're like, oh my God, I'm going to vote for the Republicans. So, let's do that. And let's run over there to them, and maybe they'll support us, and maybe they'll make everything better, right? And then they realize that the Republicans don't just make nothing better, they actually make things worse. And so they run back uselessly to the Democrats to help them win their election. And it just goes fucking back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And like the entrapment of people within that cycle is a direct result of our allowing, as a people, the two-party system to dominate our politics completely and utterly. We don't challenge it. Every time somebody comes around that wants to challenge it, we laugh at them. It's retarded, and it's time it ended. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go. It's dinner time for me, so I'm going to get out of here. Plus, my phone's about to die. If you guys enjoyed the stream, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that little alert bell, and consider showing up later when I do a busking stream, probably around 11 p.m. tonight. That's CST, and I will see you guys later. I assumed Trump term 2 would be just like the first. I thought he'd sit on his ass all day eating McDonald's food and watching Fox News and tweeting. That's pretty much what I expected too, but he's actually been way fucking worse and way more authoritarian and draconian and shit. Whatever, I wish nobody had shot at Trump. Or, well, yeah, I wish nobody had shot at Trump. Goodbye, guys.